I can be totally honest with you, I absolutely love my children, but if I'm totally honest, there are times that they can drive me absolutely wild. And one of those times, it seems like almost every day, is at the breakfast table. And there's two things especially. Number one, there's the fighting and the arguing, and he's looking at me and she's doing this, and sometimes annoying little sounds or anxiety about the day sometimes, which is a little bit more bearable. But just the arguing and the fighting, as well as a general waste of time. You know, I feel like I do a lot to get things ready for my kids every morning, but we also have a fair amount of chores and things for them to take responsibility for, as we're handing off some of that responsibility to them as they continue to grow and continue to mature. So I don't feel like what I have for them to do in the morning is really asking that much, and yet it can be really difficult to just get that done. Sometimes it's even just a matter of just eat your food so that we can move on to the next step, because I want to let you sleep in as long as possible so that you can get your rest and so that you can grow. And I've been up for 2 hours, 3 hours longer than you have. Like, let's go a little bit, right? This morning I was reflecting on the frustration that I can experience quite often, if I'm honest about my brokenness and my weakness on this one. My frustration with these two things, right? The arguing and the fighting, and how many times I have to keep correcting them. It's over and over and over again. You know, stop looking at your brother, stop teasing them, stop doing this, stay seated in your chair, right? It's constant stuff, right? And give me some comments down below about how my parenting strategies are an absolute wreck. Okay, I'm sure I'm doing everything wrong. So help me on that one. But spiritually reflecting on this, what dawned on me is, and this happens to me all the time when I spiritually reflect on my own children, is how much like my own children I am in my relationship with God. Okay, so we'll take these two things, which is what I was reflecting on this morning. So first one, how much arguing and fighting that they tend to do, and how much I have to continue to correct them and correct them and correct them and correct them and tell them the same thing over and over and over again, right? But in reality, that's not too much unlike me, right? I mean, you better parenting strategy people out there, you can definitely tell me, well, where did they learn to argue and fight? Probably from my example and poor modeling of that, okay? Guilty as charged, right? Speaking of guilty as charged, here's the other element, is how often do I need to be reminded by my father how he wants me to behave and how I'm truly going to be happy? And how well do I take that advice? Or how well do I allow myself to be modified by that and properly formed by that? Because, you know, I have a consistent practice of going to confession on a regular basis, which I absolutely love. So like every 2 weeks would be ideal. Maybe even every week would be really good for me. I have a bare minimum commitment of once per month, okay? But look at that. I mean, I'm going to confession once a month at least. Why? Because I need that correction. I need to be told again and again and again. Why? Because I'm broken, because I'm human. So here I am, you know, worried about the splinter in my children's eye, and here I've got this big log in my own eye. And then the second one, which also struck me pretty heavy, is the wasting of time, right? I'm like, come on, you kids, let's go. Like, we don't have all day. I need you to move. I've done so much for you. And I reflect on that in terms of God's relationship with me, and he has done everything for me, right? And, you know, I have free will and I'm going throughout my life. But then I asked myself this question this morning, how much of my time am I wasting? Of my life? Like, I do not have eternity here. I only have this life. And how much of that time am I wasting? How well am I using it? I mean, am I giving at least an hour of prayer to God every day, taking that opportunity? Am I reading spiritual books? Am I allowing God to reform my heart on a regular basis? I mean, really, like, I don't know how much longer. Maybe I'll die today. Maybe this video will never get to YouTube. If you're watching it, praise and thanks be to God, I got this up for you, right? But I don't know how much longer I have. Nobody knows how much time they have, right? Look at how much time I waste. You know, how much time do you waste that we spend doing things that really don't matter, when we could be doing so many other things that are so much more important? You know, we talk in our culture so much about, I just don't have time, I just don't have time, I just don't have time. We have a lot of time. how do we prioritize it? Where do we spend that time, right? So I got to look at myself and go, okay, these things drive me nuts about my kids. Well, sometimes the things that drive us nuts about other people are the things that deep down are problems within ourselves. And I'm really having a great reflection about that today. Thanks be to God for giving me a little bit of insight into my own brokenness and woundedness and how I need to grow so that I can love my children better, so that I can love them more like the Heavenly Father loves me and reflect that love. Hope this was useful to you. If it was, hit that like button. Feel free to subscribe if you'd like to hear more from Passionately Catholic. Thanks as always to all of our patrons who support everything we do here at Passionately Catholic. I wish you all God's blessings and peace, and I'll see you again in the next episode.